your DUNS number. Again, this is what we want to use to start building out our business credit profiles. And so you want to have at least 5 accounts reporting on your Dun & Bradstreet accounts in order for you to generate an 80 paydex score, right? And so what a lot of people end up doing and where they drop the ball is they have maybe 2 accounts that they think are reporting but aren't really reporting. And then they're kind of working with vendors, which we're going to get into here in just a second. They think that they're kind of working with vendors that are reporting trade lines, but they're not really reporting trade lines over on the business side. And what they end up doing is they just end up using the card, or they stop using the card, or they stop using the vendor. And then the vendor says, okay, let's not even report. So if you're taking notes, you want to use either the card or the vendor account or the supplier that you guys are using. You want to use them for at least 60 to 90 days. Some of them are going to start reporting by day 60. Some of them are going to start reporting by day 90. I tell all of my clients, if you don't have at least an 80 paydex score by day 90, you must have missed a step. And so if for those of you guys that have been in business for some time, I'm going to help you out. I get a lot of clients that they come in and they say, Irv, I've been in business for 10 years. I've been in business for 15 years. I've never heard of paydex, or I have nothing reporting on my paydex. Let me help you out. You can go over to dnb.com, which is where you get your DUNS number. By law, these vendors, if they are extending out a term to you, a net 30, net 45, net 55, net 15, whatever it is, and there's no number reported or generated, that's automatically going to generate a DUNS number for you. So if you go in and you create an account and you type in your business name, odds are your business is going to show up. Some of you guys probably have some form of business credit built out and you don't even know it yet, because vendors actually have been reporting. You just haven't claimed your account yet. That's going to help out somebody on this call, because I had like 6 clients last week that they all had 80 paydex scores because they were already reporting. They just hadn't claimed their account yet. So they already had business credit. They just hadn't lined it up with their LLC and they hadn't taken ownership of it. I want to take it a step further, because maybe if you're newer, or maybe if you're going over to Dun & Bradstreet, they're going to tell you and they're going to try to sell you crazy expensive packages that they're going to say, hey, we're going to report trade lines for you. Steer away from that. You're going to learn how to build trade lines on this call from scratch that belong to you, meaning no one can take it away from you once it's on your report. What they're really reporting is trade references. Trade references is the payment history of the account, but it's not an actual line of credit or vendor credit that's attached to the account. So it doesn't necessarily carry the same weight as you building out your own trade lines, but yet they're charging you thousands of dollars for that. Oh, and by the way, the minute that you stop paying that, they remove those trade references to begin with. And for those of us, before I move on, for those of us that are business owners, the first thing that I want you guys to do when you get off this call, be sure, go to dnb.com, search your business. I promise you, somebody on this call, and if it's you, hit up Brad and let them know, hey, that thing worked. Hey, I had a business credit profile established. I just had to claim it. I had to send in my LLC, my articles of organization. I had to take a picture of my license. Whatever it is that they ask you for, claim it because it's yours. The second thing that I want you to do, if you're an existing business owner, and if you've been doing business with some vendors, whether it's suppliers, whether it's equipment financing, whatever it is, you want to reach out to those store owners. You want to reach out to those vendors, and you want to let them know, hey, we've been doing business for some time. I've never missed a payment. I've always paid you on the time, the net 30, the net 45, the net 60, whatever it is. I want to see if you can report this for me. Some of them aren't going to report it, right? They're only going to report the reference at absolute best. Remember, they have to at least report the reference. If you want the trade line, say, hey, can you extend a line of credit trade line that's actually going to report for me? On their end, they may need to fill out some paperwork with Dun & Bradstreet, Equifax, and Experian, but let them know, I want to continue doing business with you, or I may be in the place where I may take my business elsewhere. So at least you kind of had that as leverage. Cool? I hope you guys picked that up. So when it comes to vendor accounts and financial accounts, you want to have both on your business credit profiles. Pro tip, by the way, vendor accounts, for those of us that don't know, let me not move past that. Vendor accounts, for those of us that are wondering what that is, those are things like net 30s, net 45, 30 days, if we're using the example of a net 30 account, we have 30 days from the day that we're invoiced in order for us to make that payment, right? So in the business credit world, there's something called days beyond terms, DBT, days beyond terms, which is really what's being used against you if maybe you're late by 1 day. So now they start counting late by 1 day, late by 2 days, late by 3 days, late by 4 days, and that's what starts to plummet your score. So if there's anything that you take from this call, the simplest way that you can boost your business credit is just pay that thing off in full. It has to be paid off in full if you want the full benefits of building on your Dun & Bradstreet score, because vendor accounts are going to report over with Dun & Bradstreet. Some of them report with Equifax and Experian, which we'll get to them here in a second. But I want you guys to know, when it comes to building business credit, start with making those payments on time. It sounds elementary, it sounds simple, but like, I can't tell you how many times somebody wants a hack for building something out, and it's like, just pay it on time. I promise you that's going to be better than any hack you'll ever get. Just be responsible with your business, whether you're running your books yourself or you have an accountant. The other accounts that you want to have are financial accounts. So that can be fintech cards like Capital on Tap, Divvy. That can be business credit cards, unsecured business credit cards, or even secured or unsecured loans, which we're going to also be breaking down. You want to have that reporting onto your business credit. Also, pro tip, each account reported is known as a payment experience. And so one of the fastest ways that we like to build out our business credit profiles with our clients is that we tell them, make sure that when you are building out your business credit profile, you're getting strategic with who you decide to shop with and who you decide to pick as a vendor or as a supplier for you. What that means is, if I had to pick between a supplier that's only going to, let's say, report to Dun & Bradstreet versus someone who's going to report to Dun & Bradstreet, Experian, and Equifax business, I'd rather you go with the latter. Reason for that is because I'm going to have now 3 payment experiences laid out across the board with all 3 business credit bureaus, and that's going to help me out way more than just having a score with Dun & Bradstreet, which is what most business owners have because it's the easiest one to get, right? So if you can get someone with Experian and Equifax, then by all means, take that. And I'm also going to be showing you guys some different accounts that you guys can tap into, but you want to make sure that you're building it out across the board. So for those of us that are taking notes, for those of us that are on the recording, for those of us that are on the live call, take a screenshot of this, take a picture, take a mental photo, whatever it is. These are some of the accounts that you can quickly move into to build up an 80 paydex score, to build up at least an 80 on the Intella score, which is Experian, and to build up, I'd say you want at least a 400, maybe a 420 over with Equifax, because Equifax one of their scores ranges from 224 to 580, right? And so the way that you want to set this up is up top, I have Uline, Summa, and Granger office supplies. I listed those up top because it's the one that you guys are most likely familiar with. It's the one that everyone talks about, and rightfully so. They've been out for quite some time and they still report. But one of the things that you want to note is that in order for you to get these tray lines to actually report to your credit, it has to be something that they deem, worthy. So you want to make sure that you're spending at least $100 with them in order for them to actually report it on the back end. This is known as the tier system. I'm going to give you guys the PG and the non-PG way. But with the tier system, what you can do is you can essentially make purchases. So that's batteries, office supplies, toiletries, whatever it is. Just make sure it's at least $100. And then you want to make that payment within the terms that they give you. More often than not, it's going to be a net 30 account. Now, here's where things get interesting, because with Crown Office Supplies reports to multiple accounts. And so this is one of those things that if I had to pick, let's say, between a Crown Office Supply or a Granger, you may want to have both, but I definitely want to make sure that I have a Crown Office Supply on there because it's also going to build up my other business credit profiles. eCredible, for those of you guys that don't know, it's a powerful tool. If you already have a brick and mortar location, and if you maybe have utilities placed under your business name, they're able to report that over those payments over to the big 3, which is Experian, Equifax, and Dun & Bradstreet. And there's a 4th one, Creditsafe. Creditsafe isn't necessarily as big here in the United States as they're becoming. They've been out since '97. They're bigger overseas. If you're wondering who uses Creditsafe, Creditsafe is used by BMW, Volvo, Nestle, more so the European companies. That may be a bigger player moving down the road, but for the purpose of this call, just focus on Experian, Equifax, and Dun & Bradstreet, because you'll still be able to get the cars non-PG. You'll still be able to get some of the corporate credit that you guys are wanting to get access to. When it comes to checking your business credit, we have it on there. NAV. You can have a free account with NAV, but I recommend, if you want to have Trey Lines reporting onto your business credit profile, they report them across the board. You want to have, I believe it's their Business Plus account. It's like $39. It's subscription, and they go ahead and report that account. It's just a fast way to build your account. So if you guys wanted kind of like my take on this, and if you guys wanted like a little strategy, I would do Crown Office Supplies, eCredible, NAV, and Uline. There's 4 right there, right? Remember, they're reporting across the board. So now we're essentially building out our business credit across the board. And then I would go ahead and maybe pick a Sam's Club card. One of the reasons why I would pick a Sam's Club card is because a Sam's Club card, the only thing that you have to be is a member with Sam's Club, but it's non-PG, meaning it's going to be EIN only. And by the way, it's not just EIN, but it's also a MasterCard, which means you can use it anywhere a MasterCard is accepted. So it's as good as a traditional credit card. So it's not like some of these other accounts where you can only use that line of credit, those terms there. With Sam's Club, you can come out of Sam's Club if you have that MasterCard, and you can go ahead and make purchases that you maybe need for your business that you can't find at Sam's Club. Now, the trick with getting approved for Sam's Club is you want to go in person. That's the first thing. Obviously, you want to be a member. So become the member. You want to go in person. And then the third thing is you don't want to put your social on the application, because they will hard pull you. I'll tell you right now, like don't message Rad and his team saying, hey, they hard pulled my credit. If they did, you guys, it's most likely because you use your social. Like that's the only way that they're going to hard pull your credit. And so when you get there, you're going to fill out the application, and you're only going to put your EIN where it has your company EIN. I'm not telling you to put your EIN where your social goes and vice versa. No, put your EIN where your EIN goes and leave your social blank. If they ask you what's your social security number, I will tell them what I tell them. I don't really know my social off the top of my head, and I actually don't.